Jin-Hyo's crew had 2 dungeons lined up for today, and there was quite a journey between them. Sangmin and Kachul each waited at their own dungeon, checking in regularly to see if their suspicions were right. The day was still pretty chilly, so Sangmin grabbed a warm coffee from a nearby machine to keep cozy while waiting for the others. He had been waiting for Jin-Ho's team for an hour, but his excitement was winning over his boredom. It wasn't often that his heart raced like this. If he was right, and his instincts were usually spot on, this rookie was something special, maybe even Sarang. Sangmin had become a department manager at a young age, and it was all because he trusted his gut feelings. He had played a big part in turning White Tiger into one of the top guilds. Now his gut was telling him Jin-Woo-san could take the guild even higher. People would think I've lost my mind if I said that out loud, he thought. After all, Jin-Woo was still officially just an E-rank hunter. But things aren't always as they seem, and if Sangmin had learned anything over the years, it's that you can't judge a book by its cover. He was keeping a sharp eye on the gate when Ataram. Reading. What is Kachul calling? Hey, Kachul. He answered. Sir, Jin-Hyo Yu's team just arrived. Jotted. Stay calm and keep an eye on them. Then report back their every move. Yes, sir. Wait, huh? Manager N. The voice on the other end of the line sounded weird. Did that idiot get caught? Sangmin started to feel nervous. What's wrong? Talk to me, he said, trying not to panic. You were right, sir. What? Sangmin's heart skipped a beat. Only 2 people, Jin-Hyo and Jin-Woo, are entering the gate. Of course. Sangmin muttered to himself. This was all a test for Jin-Woo. As expected, his hunch was spot on. He always trusted his gut in moments like this. Nice, he exclaimed, punching the air with a grin. While everyone else dragged their feet, the White Tiger Guild was ready to make a move. Jin-Woo-san would be theirs, no question. That's how Sangmin and his second administration team got things done. Sangmin was so caught up in daydreams of their victory that he almost missed Kachul's voice on the phone. So what should I do now, sir? Kachul asked, breaking into Sangmin's thoughts. Should I come with you? No, keep an eye on them for now. What do you already know what they're up to? I'm curious about how long it takes them. Let's see how many hours they need to clear a C-rank dungeon. Even top hunters usually take longer than a few hours if they're alone, right? You got something better to do. Of course not, sir. Hey, I just thought you might get bored by yourself. So I thought I'd ask, Sangmin said with a grin. That was one reason he liked Kachul. He could think on his feet faster than anyone else. Don't worry about me, okay? Just keep an eye out for when they leave the dungeon. I's got it, Kachul replied without missing a beat. I'll have my phone handy the whole time. So call me the second anything happens. Yes, sir. After Sangmin finished giving his orders and hung up, his stomach suddenly growled loudly. Aver, rumble, oops. Guess he'd been so busy waiting for Jin-Woo, but he forgot to eat all day, and now it was already past lunchtime. He couldn't step away from his spot because he didn't know when Jin-Ho's team would show up. Now that things had calmed down, he decided to grab a bite to eat before popping into a convenience store. He wasn't trying to be cheap or anything, but eating at a restaurant alone made him feel weird, even though no one was around to care. After thinking for a bit, he went with instant ramen from the store. He poured in some hot water and waited 3 minutes. Just as he cracked open his wooden chopsticks, the phone rang. Off. Who's calling me while I'm trying to eat? A name popped up on his screen, second in command. He answered, annoyed. Can't you see I'm busy eating? I'm sorry, sir. But what is it this time? If you called me for nothing, you're eating instant ramen for lunch every day this week. Someone said. Sangmin, who was just about to take a bite of noodles, stopped midair like he'd been paused. What? They told me Jin-Hyo and Jin-Woo left the dungeon, and now the whole team is getting ready to go. He didn't mishear anything. Wow. He checked the time again. Only 30 minutes have passed. Did they just give up on the raid? He asked. They didn't give up, came the reply. The gate is closing. This made no sense at all. Even though C-rank dungeons had different levels of difficulty, it was impossible for one person to clear a dungeon in just 30 minutes. Are you sure? Check again, he urged. Yes, I'm positive. The gate is definitely closing. Would you like me to send you a video? No. That's fine. Sangmin hung up the phone and stared off into space. What usually takes an A-rank hunter 2 hours to clear, Jin-Woo did it in 30 minutes. That's not even normal for an A rank. Based on what Sangmin had just seen, he has to be way beyond A rank. Ha! Sangmin felt like he'd struck gold. Boss, do you have somewhere else to be? No, why? I've never seen you hunt that fast. Jin-Woo said, totally blown away. Jin-Woo had already proven he was strong, but today he was on a whole new level. Jin-Woo didn't realize that what happened was bound to occur from the start. Jin-Woo held back a grin. The reason? This time they were up against werewolves. Title Wolf Ass Assassin. A title given to those who excel at hunting wolves. When you're battling animal-type monsters, your abilities get a 40% boost. That's exactly what happened when Jin-Woo faced werewolves. The wolf assassin buff kicked in, making him super strong. With his high level and his power-up, those C-rank beasts didn't stand a chance. The werewolves let out all sorts of sounds, yeeks, whimpers and long whines, as Jin-Woo ripped through them, like they were paper. Jin-Woo tried to keep up, collecting essence stones from the remains. But even with extra hands, it was impossible. Jin-Woo was moving way too fast for anyone to keep up. Jin-Woo chugged 5 bottles of healing potion, while exploring the dungeon. They were so filling that he kept groaning about how he wouldn't need lunch anymore. Jin-Woo said, glancing around. He'd been getting that prickly feeling like someone was watching him for a while now. I don't think it's a hunter though. I can't sense any mana. Otzi scanned the area carefully, but there was no sign of anyone. Still, the uneasy feeling lingered. If he wanted to, he could track down the stranger, but it might take a while since there wasn't any real anger or fight. But maybe it wasn't anything important, after all. Sure enough, whatever it was disappeared as quickly as it came. Hey boss, what's going on? Nothing. Let's go. Time was running out, and they couldn't afford to stand around doing nothing. Jin-Woo gave the area a quick once-over before hopping into the front passenger seat. He didn't sense anyone watching him when he went in or came out of the second dungeon, but he still felt uneasy. Am I just being paranoid? Either way, he was relieved. It wasn't a bigger issue. As he sat there deep in thought, Jin-Woo walked up and lowered his head respectfully. I'm sorry, boss, he said. The other gates are too far away, one of them said. This will be our last stop for today. That's okay, no need to apologize. Jin-Woo replied with a smile. Even though there were still hours left before sunset, they had been on a roll closing gates in this area, and decided it was time to wrap up. Great job, everyone. Someone called out. Yeah, you're the one who did all the work. Chief, another voice chimed in, followed by laughter. As the group said their goodbyes, Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho climbed into the van. Somewhere along the way, Jin-Ho had become Jin-Woo's personal chauffeur, always ready to drive him home after a long day of work. Time to drop you off, boss, Jin-Ho said with a grin. Jin-Woo chuckled, shaking his head but feeling grateful for his trusty friend behind the wheel. He seemed totally in his element behind the wheel, like driving was what he was born to do. Jin-Woo watched him with a sympathetic eye. Jin-Woo might be rich, but here he was acting as a chauffeur, because he wanted to give being a guildmaster a shot. Jin-Woo caught Jin-Woo staring and flashed a cheerful grin as he hit the gas. Hey, is there something on my face? Jin-Woo asked, trying to sound casual. His boss just grunted. Jin-Woo snapped his eyes forward. Pretending he hadn't been caught staring, something popped into his head, and he glanced at his phone. 4:46. He had a while before he needed to be home, which was good, because he had something else planned. Wait a minute, wasn't it around here? If he remembered right, Jin-Woo turned to the driver, his mind already racing ahead. Hey Gino. Yes, boss. Gino replied as he turned the wheel with ease and steered the van around the corner smoothly. Let's go to the Mirai department store. Gino raised an eyebrow, puzzled. Mirai department store. The boss nodded. It's right over there, Gino said, tilting his head in confusion. But you've been acting a bit weird all day. Is something up, boss? The boss paused for a moment before speaking. You know you talk a lot more these days. First Gino's eyes snapped forward, and he straightened up instantly. I'll get us there in no time, boss. Hold on to your seat. Jin-Ho changed his attitude, hit the gas and didn't let up once, as they sped toward their destination. Screech. The tires squealed as they came to a sudden stop in front of downtown Seoul's Grand Mirai department store. Jin-Woo hopped out of the van, followed by Jin-Ho, who walked over with a grin. Our guild should totally have an office here. Right, boss? He asked, gazing up at the building with a playful tone. But there was only silence. Jin-Woo felt a chill run down his spine. He turned to his side and muttered in confusion. Huh? But Jin-Woo was nowhere to be seen. Jin-Woo frantically searched around. But there was no sign of his friend. Boss. He called out again, louder this time. Still nothing. Suddenly, a robotic voice echoed through the air. The boss has been defeated. The dungeon will now return to its original state. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo walked home with a spring in his step. After leveling up twice in the department store instance dungeon, he couldn't help but feel pretty proud of himself. That special dungeon key had come from a mystery box a few months ago and was only meant for the Mirai department store. Jin-Woo had been waiting for the perfect moment to use it. And today, with some extra time on his hands, he finally cleared the dungeon. Booze! Jin-Woo's confused face, as he searched for him, was hilarious. Every time Jin-Woo pictured it. Just then, his phone rang. He checked the caller ID, but didn't recognize the number. Who could that be? Back in high school, all his free time had been spent taking care of his little sister and helping out since their mom was sick. After graduation, he jumped straight into becoming a hunter. Jin-Woo didn't know many people, so his phone rarely buzzed with calls from strangers. When it did ring that day, he hesitated for just a second before picking up. Hello? He said. Hello? Is this Jin-Woo Sung? A man asked clearly on the other end. Jin-Woo's gut told him something was off, so he hung up without thinking. Click. Most of the time, mysterious calls like this were either salespeople trying to sell something or scammers, asking for money. Shaking his head, Jin-Woo stuffed his phone into his pocket, but then it buzzed again. Same number. Jin-Woo muttered. Confused. Who could this be? So it's not a telemarketer. Telemarketers have targets to hit, so they usually don't call back someone who hangs up on them. It's better for them to move on and dial as many numbers as possible. Besides, they know it's a waste of time to try again. That means this person really needs to talk to me. Jin-Woo picked up the phone properly this time. Yes, this is Jin-Woo Sung. Oh, excellent. The voice on the other end said. I thought I must have dialed the wrong number, especially when the call cut off. Haha, I said, laughing nervously. Jin-Woo hesitated for just a couple of seconds, wondering if he should apologize and explain that he'd thought the guy was a telemarketer or someone asking for money, but then he decided against it. Admitting that would probably make things even weirder. After a short silence, the guy with the salesman voice spoke up again. Oh right, I totally forgot to introduce myself. Hello, this is Jin-Woo, he answered, wondering who could be calling so late. I'm Sang-min, from the White Tiger Guild. Jin-Woo froze mid-step. The White Tiger Guild. He scratched his head, trying to remember if he'd ever done anything that would catch their attention. The only thing that came to mind was when they helped with that double dungeon incident. But that was ages ago. Why would they reach out now? Before Sang-min could explain, Jin-Woo's curiosity got the better of him. Why is the White Tiger Guild calling me? He asked bluntly. Sang-min hesitated for a moment before responding. This isn't something I can discuss over the phone. Could we meet in person? Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow. He wasn't used to people being so polite and accommodating. Especially not someone from such a prestigious guild. Curiosity winning out. He agreed. After all, he couldn't think of a good reason to say no. Hey, guess what? It just so happened that he's free the day after tomorrow. Jin-Woo mentioned something about having to go to a family thing. He'd apologized earlier because his whole family had to be at this important event. Jin-Woo wondered what it was like. Maybe some fancy party in a hotel. Either way, Jin-Woo was stoked because it meant they could hang out that day. I've got time on Thursday, Jin-Woo said. Hey, I was thinking, are you free right now? His friend asked. Right now. Jin-Woo checked the clock. Jin-Woo checked his phone. 8:00 p.m. It's almost 8 o'clock. Can you spare me a minute? He paused. Where are you? I'm at a cafe nearby. Song-min gave him the name of the place, and Jin-Woo froze. The cafe was right across the street from his apartment. It was where Jin-Woo had first approached him with his plan. Wait, you know where I live? He asked sharply. Hunter's home addresses weren't listed online. So how did they know? The only details available were Jin-Woo's name and rank. As a hunter, he could share more about himself if he wanted, but he didn't provide any contact information. Yet, somehow these people found his number and waited near his home. which meant they must have done some digging. Thinking back, things started to make sense. Jin-Woo had that feeling of being watched all day. Now, he suspected it wasn't just a coincidence. His voice got serious as he asked, "So, was someone watching me today?" The man quickly apologized. "Sorry if we made you uncomfortable." Jin-Woo thought for a moment before answering, "I'll be there soon." Sangmin then listed the top 5 guilds in South Korea: Hunters, Reapers, Knights, Fame and White Tiger. Jin-Woo had definitely heard of them, especially the Hunters Guild, which was currently number 1 but hadn't always held that spot. A long time ago, the Reapers Guild held the top title, but things changed when the White Tiger Guild split off from them. After that, the White Tiger Guild actually became better than their former group. Now, it's no surprise that White Tiger has not only become independent, but also surpassed the Reapers. And here's the twist: they're now aiming for the number 1 spot that once belonged to the Reapers. It's like they're climbing a mountain, and the peak is within reach. Sangmin was totally sure that Jin-Woo-sung, the man sitting across from him, would be super helpful in their plan to bring back their guild's former glory. Sangmin handed Jin-Woo his business card with a smile. "Hey, I'm Sangmin and," he said, "I manage the second admin team for the White Tiger Guild, one of the top 5 guilds in the country. My job is to find and manage new hunters." Any other hunter would have given him a big smile and a handshake, or even a fancy bow before he could even hand over his business card. Except for top-ranked hunters, you know, the ones with the fancy S or A ranks. Getting into the super prestigious White Tiger Guild was like the ultimate goal for any hunter. But Jin-Woo wasn't like the others at all. He didn't seem impressed, or even interested. He didn't skip a beat. Calm as ever, he asked, "Why is someone from the White Tiger Guild looking for me?" Sangmin's eyes widened in surprise, but Jin-Woo didn't flinch at the mention of the White Tiger Guild, a group known for being super powerful and not to be messed with. From just those few words, Sangmin got a vibe that convincing Jin-Woo to join them wasn't going to be easy. He had no doubt that recruiting Jin-Woo was going to be tough. But he really wanted to make sure he didn't let this rising star slip away. After all, having a hungry and eager rookie on board could only be a good thing. Let's face it, without some drive, someone like him wouldn't get very far. Sangmin took a deep breath and dove in. "So here's the deal, I want you on our team, Hunter Sung," he said with a grin. "You've got potential, and we could use someone with your spark. Ready to double whatever Yujin Construction has offered you?" Sangmin said, flashing Jin-Woo a friendly smile. But Jin-Woo wasn't buying it. Yujin was still testing him. Please, they'd seen how fast he could clear a C-rank dungeon, how much attention a reawakened hunter like him could bring, and how cool he stayed under pressure. What else did they need to know? Sangmin, though, was confident White Tiger could top Yujin's offer twice over, maybe even more, but Jin-Woo wasn't having it. His eyes turned cold as ice. "How did you know?" Jin-Woo asked suddenly. Sangmin blinked, caught off guard despite his years of experience. "What?" Jin-Woo's sharp tone made Sangmin stumble. It was like the weight of those words could crush him. What was with this overwhelming pressure? The guy in front of him looked ready to fight. "How did you know where to find me?" Jin-Woo demanded, his gaze piercing. The room felt heavy, like the air itself had turned thick and tense. Sangmin could practically feel the weight of Jin-Woo's suspicion. "Let's see." Sangmin had followed Jin-Woo and then called him suddenly for a meeting. No wonder Jin-Woo thought Sangmin might be against him. Sangmin quickly tried to explain. "Hey, we didn't mean to spy on you. We just heard someone was clearing C-rank dungeons really fast in our area, and your name came up when we checked into it." But Jin-Woo stayed quiet for a moment but lowered his intense stare. It turned out Sangmin hadn't discovered Jin-Woo's secret after all. Jin-Woo had popped up because of how quickly he was clearing dungeons. He didn't seem like a bad guy. Jin-Woo's face relaxed a little, and the tension between them eased. Sangmin felt relieved, but their talk wasn't getting anywhere. He needed to win Jin-Woo over somehow. Nothing works better than sharing useful info to get on someone's good side. Sangmin was a pro at this. He took a deep breath, put his professional smile back on, and said, "This is supposed to be secret, but we already know that Chairman Myung-han Yo wants to start a new guild." Where Jin-Woo didn't say anything, not confirming or denying it. Sangmin kept going anyway. The moment Jin-Woo saw Sangmin with Jingyo, he knew exactly what was going on. They thought Jin-Woo was a reawakened hunter, and they were trying to recruit him for their guild. Sangmin quickly added, We wanted to talk to you before you signed up with Yujin, so we reached out as fast as we could. I'm really sorry if we crossed any lines, Jin-Woo said again. It's okay, came the reply. If there had been bad intentions, things would have been way different. But since the apology was heartfelt, Jin-Woo decided not to make a big deal out of it. What mattered more was figuring out how to handle this situation. Just as he was trying to work out what to do next, Sang-min interrupted his thoughts. Have you already signed a contract with Yujin Construction? Jin-Woo's hesitation gave away the answer. When he shook his head, Sang-min's worried look instantly turned into a big smile. Awesome. That means he's free to join us. Here was the perfect chance to bring in an amazing hunter, who could solo a C-rank dungeon in just 30 minutes. Sure. Here's a fun and engaging version of the text. Technically, Jin-Woo had teamed up with another D-ranker, but to someone who was B rank or higher, he probably seemed more like a burden than anything else. But what if Jin-Woo joined the White Tiger Guild, and got bumped up to an A rank, or even higher? Sang-min couldn't contain his excitement as he thought about it. Jin-Woo scratched his chin, looking thoughtful, like he wasn't sure if he should get his hopes up just yet. Still, the more he thought about it, the more joining the White Tiger Guild didn't seem so bad after all. It was one of the top 5 guilds, with the potential to become number 1, but Jin-Woo wasn't planning on joining any guild right now. As he leveled up, his earnings would keep growing. Plus, who knew how long it might take, or if it would even happen. But what if, someday he could tackle B and A rank dungeons, all by himself, just like he was clearing C rank ones now. The money from high rank dungeons was unimaginable. These treasures were why big guilds could grow into super powerful groups that could rival massive companies. Things like super valuable essence stones from magic beasts, rare minerals dug up from dungeons, special rune stones and magical artifacts. So much wealth came pouring out of those places. If Jin-Woo could get his hands on all that loot and keep it for himself, why share it with a guild? If he kept leveling up, it wasn't impossible to go solo. That's why joining a guild felt like jumping the gun. Jin-Woo cracked a small smile, thinking about the possibilities. Sang-min's face lit up, assuming his friend was on board with the idea. Have you made up your mind? You said I'd get double the pay, right? That's true. If their offer seems too low for someone with your skills, we might bump it up. Done and so. How much is the White Tiger Guild's building really worth, anyway? Sang-min's face went stiff for a second. Does he think we don't have enough money? But now wasn't the time to get mad. This was Sang-min's moment to shine for the guild. No need to keep it secret. This was the perfect chance to share the details. Sang-min stood tall and proudly said, the building is worth about 50 billion won. He added with a grin, and guess what? The guild owns the whole thing. At first, White Tiger had been renting office space, but after they became super successful, they decided to buy the entire property. Now it was all theirs. It happened in just one short year. The guild made so much money that it was almost shocking. If Jin-Woo had asked, Sang-min could have told him exactly how much the guild earned before and after expenses. But Jin-Woo's simple request left him totally speechless. Can you give me the building? Wait a minute. Sang-min's eyes nearly popped out of his head in surprise.